So I use alcohol prep pads. See that? It comes right. A lot of it comes off. I'm getting used to the camera, so don't be too hard on me in the comments. And you want to work it on it a little bit on the shaft. And then this guy, Lord, it's pretty bad when it was so gunked up. I wish I would have taken some pictures. I might have some, but it looks like my little sandpaper Dremel trick. And I know some of you cassette guys out there are going, what the hell are you doing? Well, I'm learning. That's what I'm doing. Excuse me. Yeah, so back in the day, cassettes were really cool. They're compact, which is kind of neat. You could have a player in your car, but the home one is what you were really concentrating on. Let's get this off. Sorry, let me get back in here. I don't know what that is. You see it right here. It feels rough. It could have been a scratch from the Dremel. Because I was reaching in between that board. I didn't remove the board. I should have, because I didn't know how it worked. Now that I've seen a bunch of cassettes, you know how it is, right? Or a bunch of, cassette YouTube videos. The people that really know their stuff, like Mend It Mark, that guy, man, he knows not only cassettes, he knows electronics. I have a degree, a Bachelor of Science degree in Information Systems and Management from the University of Maryland. Go Terps. But no, that's not coming off. Let's see, it's not coming off. Right here. I think we're okay. Seems relatively smooth. This seems smooth. And now I'm going to work more on this. Let me get a clean one. So it's amazing cassettes are actually coming back, believe it or not. Not as much as vinyl, but certainly they are. Ringo Starr said his number one sellers are cassettes these days, which is kind of odd. Back in the day, cassettes gave you the ability to record like your favorite radio shows. And I'm not talking Bob Hope. I'm talking about rock concerts on late at night that radio stations would simulcast the concert. I'm going to say that's just going to be as good as I can get that. Okay. I wouldn't think you'd want to put any oil here. You don't want that slipping. So, but we are going to clean the hole, right? The hole this goes in because it's dirty. Now, to do that, dun dun dun, it's going to be interesting. I'm thinking maybe a couple of drops down the shaft of 91. This is what I'm talking about right here, this guy. Right down the hole. I'm not going to be able to get a Q-tip in there. I may be able to get a little screwdriver with some cloth, some of this pad on it, a very tiny one, and very gently caress the insides of that. So let's do that next. Alright, so move this guy. I'm going to attempt to put a little alcohol down there. Just hoping it kind of drips in there. name, I'll clean the top of it as well. Then I'm going to try to rig up. We don't want to get anything, well, I think anything gets stuck inside there is probably, oh my, this thing, I got this right in my hand, I'm going, holy crap, this thing's hard to cut. So let me get some scissors. Okay. This thing's more daylight for you here. Get that bent back a little. So I'm trying to cut off a piece of it. Let's do it long ways. Oh, this side. These are just the prep pads people would use before they take an injection. Like if you have take Ozempic or other diabetes medicines, you know what these are. Get them at the drugstore. Alright. I've got a tiny screwdriver. Let's see. Oh, that is not going to work, is it? Let's try a little bit. Oh, okay. Yeah, there it goes. And it comes out the other side. Now, like I said, we don't want to get anything stuck in here, because you'd have to push it through with the capstan. And remember, it's old. Not as old as me, but it's old. Okay, there that went. Let's see where it went. Moment of truth. Okay, exactly what I was talking about. We're going to have to, it's in there. I'm trying to, all right, where'd the little booger go? That's kind of why I didn't want to do it. Let's take a peek. See if we can see it with our trusty iPhone, and yeah, it's in there. So maybe you shouldn't do that. Here it is. I'm looking down this hole right here. Sorry. And not too bright, I guess. Well, I'll tell you what, let's keep going. And we'll try to get it out of there. We're on the front of it now. Let me see. I might be able to. Oh wait, yeah, there was this gap in this thing. I meant to say, if you look, sorry, with the camera again. If you look right here, I'm gonna try it. You can see right in here. Let me see if I can bring it a little closer. There was, it's open, right? Like something went in there, and I think I know what goes in there. It's a little rubber grommet that has deteriorated to look. I mean, literally, it's like La Brea tar pits, if you've ever been there in LA. It's like, oh my goodness, you know. Oh, that's good. Okay, I'm seeing some of it now. I think I might be able to get. I'm kind of glad I did this now, because look at this. That was white, and now it's not. That's that gunky. See, it sticks on your finger. This was it looks like a grommet. I think I have one, a repair kit. Let me see if I think it's what I need to put in there. Also, one of the things you could do, if you're going to do one of these, try to find the service manual. So it's all kind of going wonky here. The service manual has all, the gears and the parts and the electronics and all the adjustments. I mean, it's well over my head, but for the parts, it has it. And you can see how funky, excuse the expression, that was. Now we're going to have to do that again because it's so bad. We've got to get, look at this. Look at this. It just, I mean, 40 years rubber does this. Who knew? I don't know. My tires on my car don't do this. They get hard and dry, not wet and gooey. So someone can go ahead and drop me the chemistry on it. Go ahead and comment. I'll try to get it off my hands before I make a huge mess. And look at this. It's hard to come off. Created a monster here. Might have to call in the expert. And you know who that is, right? Your wife or your partner to like help, you know. Anyway, we're going to do that again in a second. We're going to go back in this little hole right there, the one with the sort of right in there, and see if we can clean that out more, because this is not going to work. I think what goes in there is a little, let me see if I can show you, and I just spilled the alcohol. Hold on a second. Let's get our work area, which is 2 feet for me. I don't have a very big work area. Let's see. I think what's deteriorated is this thing. I'm sorry, I'm trying to uncover it for you. It's a little rubber with a hole in it. I think it goes in there, like, it almost looks like a thing you would, I don't know, put a bullet in or something. But this thing has a hole in it, and I'm going to see if it fits. Otherwise, I have to find that part. So let's try something. As soon as I find it. That looks a lot bigger. What I'm trying to do is see if that fits on there all the way down, right? I think it would have to go all the way down. But here's a good example of the manual, the parts manual, or the service manual. See what this little thing, or whatever was in there that turned to goo, we need to figure out what it was, or is, what it's called. So I'm going to put some more alcohol in there, do my little technique with the screwdriver, and see. It's a little blurry, sorry. I have a hard time on focusing. So let me play with that, and we'll see if we can't. Also, you can see this tire here. They call this the idler tire. It is a gunky mess. So we're going to be removing that. That's better. And like I said, the thing, that little rubber thing goes right, there's an opening on this shaft that looks like a chamber where the thing comes through, the shaft comes through. And I think it has to go through that rubber, which would make sense. It looks like it rubs this tire, right? It looks like it goes right in there. So that kind of makes sense. And I have a new tire, and it might have this rubber part. I think that's the right part. But we'll give it a go. Okay, we're back. I am going to remove, I cleaned it some more, the hole, but there's screws right here, right there. I'm going to remove it because it was exceptionally dirty. So let's try and get this out. So some people, all right, stop wiggling. Some people, if you want to look at a guy who really knows what he's doing, Dr. Cassette, I think is the name. And Mend It Mark, I've mentioned. without, there we go. I put them in the white bowl. And those guys really know what they're doing. As far as the electronics go, that's another thing. The electronics, most of the videos I've seen of people repairing tape decks, it's not the electronics that are bad. Not always, but not mostly. Mostly it's belts and things like that. So let's see this where we can see it. And let's see. Oh, there we go. Let's give it a fiddle, as Minute Mark says. Okay, let's see, what is this giant thing in the way? Okay. Didn't really want to take that off. Let's see, there we go. So, let's see, get you back up here. This guy, you can see, it's got a chamber. There was our hole. And there's the output. And that is where we're going to clean this more because I can't get it with just, so we're going to make a little alcohol bath for it. And see. Now here you go. It's alcohol, 91%. I'm just trying to get all that horrible sludge off of it. You can see the color of the alcohol. It's pretty bad. So I'm going to continue using a Q-tip and just sort of to get, I don't know if you can see that or not, you know, all that crap off it. And of course, see that? It made its way up inside the shaft. And that's what we're really, because remember the capstan has to go through there and spin, right? So all that gunked up stuff is not going to cut it. So we're going to, again, do our little trick of taking the screwdriver and trying to I do think I have the right part for it. Because see that idler roller that's also going to be replaced, it rests on the rubber grommet around the thing, and that gives it traction to move the wheels. So we got to get this pretty good here. And then get her cleaned off. Apologies for the video, but yeah, we gotta get this thing, all that rubber out of there. You had to take it out; it was just too far gone not to. And look, we're still bringing up stuff. I could say it's the dirtiest one I've ever seen, but I've only seen one. I'm gonna have another video. I have a Sharp cassette deck RT-1165, I think. That I think it just needs belts, at least I hope so, not like this one. This one's kind of a wreck. Hang on a second, let me get my scissors. And I'm going to force some of this back in. Whatever they make these pads out of, by the way, they are tough. They won't cut. It's like, my goodness, let's use a razor blade or something. boy, that is, man, that's tough stuff. So just like before, we're gonna, let's do it from this side. And force that down in there. Leave a little out so you can grab it and turn it. And it comes out. I think if you can see it right there. Man, look at that. Still. I've been working on this for about 15 minutes. Ugh. Man, oh man, man, oh man. Alcohol bath doesn't hurt. Although my fingers are going to be dry like crazy. My wife is a registered nurse, and this is her using alcohol and things. She spent 40 years nursing, just like I spent 40 years in high tech. Software testing mostly, and being a manager. But the glory days were at NASA, and I worked on an Air Force satellite project in Anazuka Air Force Station in Sunnyvale, California. That, as a contractor, I wasn't in the Air Force, but it was fun. And got to work on some unclassified stuff with that program, which is, they tore the building down. That's how long ago it was. Named after Ellison Onizuka, who died in the space shuttle accident Challenger in 1986. Heard he was a nice guy, but never met him. I did have a chance to work on a space shuttle project, just one, for this thing called, it was on the robotic arm. It was called the X-band synthetic aperture radar, and it gives us today, you can imagine having ground penetrating radar from the space shuttle. And there were a whole, you can look it up. It's called the Spaceborne Imaging Radar, and then they converted it to use the X-band, and you could actually penetrate about, I think it was 15 meters or 30 meters into the ground from space. Pretty slick. And if you look up XSAR, you can find some information about it. And we worked on how to send commands and get telemetry from the camera. So I was able to work on that at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, as well as back in Laurel, Maryland, all working for. So I think we're getting it here. Man, boy, this is the dirtiest thing. And I'm glad I took it out, because you can't just have all that just deteriorated rubber. So gross. See, we're still bringing out bits of it. My finger's falling asleep. There you go. So I'm going to try a little bit more, and I can regale you with stories from afar. I had never been to the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and when I went there and got a chance to meet Dr. Linda Godwin, who went up on the space shuttle with, and was actually the one controlling it. That's why we worked with her. And how do you know, we had a flawless, no bugs mission in our software anyway, which, being a test guy, that's like very good, because, you know, testing there, you're the first guy they come back to and say, why didn't you find this? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? You know, all the armchair people. But there's a good question, you know, if something happens, it's best to go in and figure out why it was missed, or, you know, whatever. But we had two flawless missions actually. It flew again, XR, at a later, there were two missions, I can't remember the exact STS numbers for the thing. I think it was 31. But, all right, I'm going to try again to get this cleaned up. And it's taking a lot of time, you know, because I'm cutting off these. I don't have a tiny brush or anything. There may sell something, but I don't know, you know. It's good to just sort of maybe get some leverage on it here and give it a, oops, stuff it in there. Maybe a Q-tip, but it's kind of hard because you got to come around the corner. We will get this, I'll tell you what. I think we're finally, oh God, we're still, my goodness. Let's try this end. Let's try this end. It was a privilege to work on these things, especially as a kid. I wanted to be an astronaut, but I am not built to be an astronaut. But because everybody in the 60s wanted to be part of the space program, come on, it was on every station all the time, back when you only had 3 or 4 stations. And that's true, that's not exaggerating. Really neat though. Because all the equipment back in the Landsat days when I first got there, we worked on Xerox computers, mainframes that are so tiny compared to today's memory and things, but they were like a big scientific computer, and they were hooked to 9-track tape drives, and you've probably seen pictures of tape drives in the back whirling in movies or something, and those kind of things. And it's working with magnetic tape, just like a cassette, only a lot bigger. And there were 9 tracks instead of, was it 2? And, you know, that kind of thing. And they had vacuum chambers to suck the tape in for tension, so you didn't, all right, I think we're going to call victory on this one here. So you didn't, you know, it would relieve the tension of the thing as it went through the transport. And it, just like all tape, you know, it had heads, and you know, you had to clean those after every tape. So I know a bit about this, but this is miniaturized. All that stuff was giant. I'll have pictures of it on this video. I have a good picture of me back in 1984. I think it was the year my son was born. I had lots of hair. Oh man, I miss that hair. But in front of these 30-track machines, which we used 28 of them, boy, you talk about, it actually the record speed for cassette is 1 7/8 inches per second. The record rate for thematic mapper data coming from Landsat 4 and 5 was 120 IPS. It looked like it was fast forwarding, but it was actually recording. The multi-spec. Yeah, and there I am, 1984-ish. I remember the guy walked in and he called my name, and I looked up. I was getting ready to clean that deck. You can see the tape transport open in the back. It had a drawer or a door you would open, and of course you have the hot VT100 VDT or CRT, along with a NASA Scamaphone, which is the one they talk on. You know, you have to do the calling and the, you know, things like that. And I had to learn all that NASA voice communications. If you ever listen to them on a thing, I had to learn all that, you know, copy and Roger and Wilco. It was actually, it was a lot of fun.
And you'll notice some patch panels in the back where you could actually patch tracks and data from tracks to different ones. Very exciting. And yeah, that was a good time. Hey there, folks. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment on what you see here. We've got more episodes coming real soon. Look forward to hearing from you in the comments below.